But he has made it
Berthen, the
through.
popular streamer.
Yeah, even though we are not aware of who. Oh, jeez, they're going straight into it. Go ahead and get started on this while I update the bracket.
All right, yeah, Berthen versus Whitetown. Whitetown did manage to beat one player to get here, 2-0ing them. I haven't heard of this guy. He might be really good, and I don't know. But Berthen, a veteran player, definitely has to have the advantage here. Both players finding the hammer pretty early on. Both of them just sort of fishing for the first hit. Berthen finally finds it, but it's just getting returned. It seems like both players are just sort of swinging their hammer back and forth. Actually, Whitetown finds a nice hammer string there. This game's staying pretty close.
Yeah, Berthen tosses aside his weapon. Whitetown doing his best to deny Berthen from the weapon, not by picking it up, by hitting him with a hammer, and actually gets the recovery, tosses him to the ground into the orange, goes in for the cider. Both players simultaneously side-airing, not hitting each other with those moves, and Whitetown actually ground pounds below the stage into a bad position. I believe that's the stock. Wow. That's a terrible time to get hit by a ground pound because he did not have much damage, but what he didn't have were jumps, and that's a great way to lose your stock really early on when it comes to Thunder Guard.
That has to be hard too, because he did what he thought was right. Like, he had the recovery up, the ground pound just barely out prioritizing it.
Either way, he still has an opportunity to even this up really quickly. Goes in for that down stick and the neutral stick. Neither one connecting, but the side air sends Berthen flying. Holds onto the lance. Still using this weapon for the entirety of the match. Or at least the entirety of the stock. Holds on to the lance, goes in for the sidelight. Berthen hovering over Whitetown. Goes in for that dive kick. The mine, the weapon toss. Berthen's ready to deny it with a weapon toss of his own. Hits him in the face 3 times. That hammer into a sidelight, into a stop. Whitetown's struggling to end the stock and taking so much damage after that ground pound death.
Yeah, so what I'm seeing here is Whitetown is a very good player, very comfortable on his weapon, hasn't practiced weapon throws enough, but you're playing Scarlet. So his unarmed is out of touch, his weapon throw game is weak, and I think that's what's going to give Berthen the advantage in this game.
Berthen going for
As
the
a
side
Scarlet,
of the down
you just can't afford that.
Yeah, in fact, I believe most Scarlet players that are known for being high levels have... Ooh, the cider just destroying Whitetown. He goes off the side of the map. That are known for being high tier or high quality Scarlet players oftentimes centralize weapon tosses on unarmed around their playstyle because that's what the legend's there for. Ooh, goes in for that lance side air, however. Tosses the lance aside. Berthen dodges through it, holds onto the hammer, but gets punched by a haymaker. Just gets punched straight in the face with that neutral light from Berthen. That's not damage that you want to be taking from the hammer at a stock deficit. Tosses the hammer aside, goes in for the bomb, picks it up, tosses it away, doesn't want anything to do with it, hits it with a dive kick, and another dive kick actually puts Berthen into the orange.
Yeah, Berthen's doing a really good job here. He's looking for a kill, and he still has an extra stock.
Ooh, goes in for that side air. Whitetown tries his best to recover. Berthen actually misses that Sair. Goes in for the scoop, however, sends him flying upwards. Goes in for that neutral air to maybe finish it off. Whitetown tosses the hammer aside. Ooh, the mine doesn't connect with Berthen. Whitetown goes past the other mine, sets up a minefield. Doesn't matter. Side air ends it. Berthen takes a 2-stock over Whitetown.
Yeah, so Scarlet is insanely good for throwing because if you look at our weapons, Lance and Hammer, both of those have absolutely huge hitboxes, right? So a lot of Scarlet players, what they'll do is they'll use those massive hitboxes, the massive guaranteed hitboxes from both their weapons to do a lot of throw setup combos, such as down throw into neutral air, or down throw into ground pound, or up throw into recovery. Just so, there's like a lot of different throw possibilities if you play around with it a lot. But Whitetown seems to be focusing a lot on just the generic weapon play, and he's really good at it. Like, I watched him; he was doing some really high level stuff. But you're playing against a player who's also going to be really good, if not better, at that same thing.
With the
and
addition
he's playing with sword,
and with the addition of some great weapon throw game with his hammer as well, being able to do what Scarlet should be doing naturally on Bodvar, no less. Whitetown playing on the other side of that mine with the hammer, hits him with the side air, playing a little bit slower this match. I believe he prefers the hammer over the lance. Goes with that grab, but that side stick charges up, doesn't quite hit Berthen. Tries to get in with a down air, hits the side air instead, trying to punish up the stop right now from WHITETOWN. WHITETOWN tosses his hammer aside, doesn't pick it back up, and waiting for a weapon spawn. Whew, the stop side sig nearly comes in with the mine, actually hits Berthen in the face, and WHITETOWN has a lead in this game. Hits him with that recovery, tries to go for a ground pound, follow up, another ground pound, just using these onstage ground pounds. This side air might actually end Berthen's stock.
Yeah, I mean, like, you see this, it's just straight hammer versus hammer play, and WHITETOWN's actually winning. Like, the only thing that Berthen has over WHITETOWN, like, I don't think Berthen's actually better than WHITETOWN in weapon play, which is insane. It means WHITETOWN's really good. But Berthen is, you see, like, this entire sequence that just happened was him, Berthen, abusing weapon throws and unarmed to take down WHITETOWN, and he just took the stock even though he should be behind a ton.
Yeah, once WHITETOWN wasn't able to end the stock with his weapon, he ended up getting disarmed. Berthen just took complete control. Also notable that Berthen switched primarily to sword rather than the hammer, which he seemed to be getting outclassed on. WHITETOWN going in with the lance. Ooh, Berthen's being dominant on the side of the stage right now. WHITETOWN forced to recover, hits him with that cider, but that still doesn't end the stock. The weapon toss just goes straight through Berthen's face, and WHITETOWN doesn't want to punish him for getting rid of that dodge. Walton the hammer trying to get in with the cider, but Berthen tosses his sword and hammer away, goes for the mine. If this trades right now, that's going to be devastating. No, WHITETOWN, you need to end the stock if you want to even this up at all. Goes for the scoop. Berthen playing really carefully and hits him with the sword side air, sends him to the orange, but there's the nair to end it, evens it up 2-2.
Yeah, wow. Berthen just played absolutely magnificently for the end of his stock there. It took forever for WHITETOWN to kill him, and Berthen managed to achieve so much. He's already got WHITETOWN into the deep orange.
Essentially, kill percent for Scarlet. If we get him with another downlight cider into a weapon toss, that's going to be it. But WHITETOWN finds true sidelights. Yeah, actually does a lot of damage. There's a weapon toss. Actually goes for an unarmed follow, but flubs it. Berthen's able to get that side stick and kill him, but that was the general idea. That's what you want to be seeing a little bit more from WHITETOWN Scarlet. I'm not sure if that was just something that he did on accident or he's a little bit more comfortable with, but Berthen, ooh, punishes that dive kick with the D-light down air, gets that neutral light as well, already sent it into the yellow. WHITETOWN trying to get back into the stage, has the lance, goes for the side light, doesn't hit. Berthen hits him with the side air of his own. Side light, Berthen's just putting so much damage into WHITETOWN right now.
Yeah, Berthen's quickly running away with this game. He's got the full stock lead. He's already got Scarlet to orange. It's going to be looking pretty bad for WHITETOWN coming back from this.
Ooh, goes for that GC neutral signature. WHITETOWN interrupts with the weapon toss, but gets hit off the side of the stage. Berthen holding onto the hammer, gets the cider. That should do it. Ooh, he's out of jumps. He's going to be forced to get hit by that recovery. No, WHITETOWN actually makes it back to the side of the stage. That sidelight, however, sending him at such a horrible angle. Berthen tosses his weapon aside. That's WHITETOWN stock. And Berthen takes it 2-0.